Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're starting a new chapter of Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 10, the opulence of the Absolute, text number 1. Shri Bhagavano Vacha. भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्ते अहं प्रियमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna. Because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So as this chapter indicates, it's the opulence of the Absolute. So we are going to hear about how great Krishna is. Now, in this chapter, we'll also see what are the benefits of understanding Krishna's opulences and following the path of Bhakti Yoga. So this path of Bhakti Yoga is very clearly given in the Bhagavad Gita. So this verse, first of all, it says, Shri Bhagavana Uvacha, which means the Supreme Personality of Godhead said. So Bhagavad Gita is not spoken by any ordinary personality or a great personality. No, it is spoken by the Supreme Lord himself. I have many times given references from the scriptures which tell us who is God. Excuse me. So the very first thing that we understand is the qualification of God. Who can we call God? Not just whom we want to call God, but what do the Vedas say? First of all, Ishvara Parama Krishna. That Parama Ishvara is Krishna himself. And the qualifications are given in the Bhagavatam. Aishwarasya Samagrasya Virasya Yashashriya. There are 6 qualifications. Whoever, has those 6 qualifications in full, Samagrasya means in full, that personality is called God. And all these 6 are there in Krishna himself. So Krishna is here speaking as the Supreme Lord, that he's saying, listen again. Krishna has already explained to Arjuna about the path of Bhakti Yoga, but now he's saying, listen again. Why? Because it's important. Even in the school, we see the teachers, they repeat whatever is very important because we have tendency to forget. So importance is there on repeating. And he's saying that I am going to give you this knowledge again because you're my very dear friend. Now, a very dear friend is not envious. And that is the first thing we need to understand. To understand Bhagavad Gita, one should not be envious of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, it's not possible to understand the Bhagavad Gita. You see, there's only one Supreme Lord. One, even if we look in the dictionary, the meaning of God, it is singular. There's only one. Who has no one who is equal to him or above him. That is God. You see, only one person. And in this chapter, we'll also understand how everything belongs to the Lord, how everything comes from him. You see, so we cannot have any comparison with God. So this chapter is going to give us knowledge about the opulences of the Lord. And these opulences, Krishna has them in full. So Krishna is giving us knowledge about Bhakti Yoga and about himself. And he wants Arjuna to hear more. You see, it's not yet finished. Hear more. You're my very dear friend. Now, one may say, how can Krishna be our very dear friend? Very simple. He travels with us within our heart as the super soul in every body that we take. It doesn't matter what species it is, whether it is aquatics, insects, reptiles, trees, humans, animals, it does not matter. He travels with us within our heart as the super soul. For what? For our benefit, so that he can guide us, so that he can show us the way, so he can witness our activities. You see? So Krishna in this verse is saying, I'm giving you better knowledge, which means whatever I've spoken till chapter 9 is good knowledge, but now I'm giving you better knowledge. What is the better knowledge? About himself and his opulences. Now, for us to be able to understand the opulences and to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we definitely need faith. Without faith, it is not possible to do anything in this material world, right? One should be inquisitive to know, who am I? Why am I suffering here? Why am I in this material world? Why am I not in the spiritual world where there is no birth, disease, old age, death? Why? So, inquisitiveness is essential on the path of Bhakti Yoga. And the answers, they are given in the Bhagavad Gita. And of course, as per the time, place, and circumstance. But those who doubt, maybe Krishna is God, maybe. So if there is a doubt, then Krishna says, for the doubting soul, there's neither peace in this life or in the next. Now, when we read the Bhagavad Gita, the very first section, which is called the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, if we go to page 3 of that introduction of Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srila Prabhupada says this very clearly, that unless we accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord, we will not understand Bhagavad Gita. Just like Arjuna, he understood Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So we need to understand Bhagavad Gita just like Arjuna's attitude, just like Arjuna accepted Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Now, in chapter 7, we learned about the different energies of Krishna. Now, this chapter is specifically going to talk about the opulences of the Lord, like his manifestations. Why? So that we can appreciate Krishna's position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that we appreciate how great he is, so that the love within our heart grows for the Supreme Lord, you see. Now, there is a difference between devotion and opulences. Right now, we are hearing about the opulences, and our devotion and our faith towards Krishna will increase when we hear about his opulences. You see, the more we will hear, the more we will become fixed on the path of Bhakti Yoga. And how should we hear? We should hear in the association of devotees, those who are devoted to Krishna. Because when we do that, then our faith starts becoming very firm. Then the devotion within the heart will increase. See? Now, to hear, there has to be a desire to hear, right? I have not pointed a gun on your heads and asked you to come for this class today, did I? I did not force you to come for this class, whether it's on Facebook or Zoom. You've come because you have a desire to hear the Bhagavad Gita. You have a desire to hear about the path of Bhakti Yoga. So when there is a desire, then one will try to get the knowledge, and then one will be able to become self-realized. Otherwise, there's no realization. You see, oral reception, hearing from the ears, of course, we hear from our ears. So oral reception, when it is received, one has to be receptive to that knowledge. Otherwise, it'll just be words, like I'm speaking some words to you, like Krishna is speaking some words from the Bhagavad Gita. No, there has to be an eagerness to hear the Bhagavad Gita. Then one will have a desire to hear more. Then one will come regularly to the Bhagavad Gita class to hear more. You see, people like to hear. People like to hear what they like to hear, not what they need to hear. That is the difference. Like and need. What we like to hear may not be what we need to hear. So, first of all, we need to distinguish what do we want? We want to hear what we like to hear, or what we should hear, what is necessary for us to hear. So here, Bhagavad Gita, we can understand the way Krishna is explaining to Arjuna. We understand that we need to have that positive attitude to hear Bhagavad Gita. We need to be like in Arjuna's situation, not situation, Arjuna's attitude, right? Arjuna considers Krishna as his friend. Or if we want to hear Bhagavad Gita, then we should have a desire to become a friend of Krishna. Now, in the very next verse, verse number 2, excuse me, of this chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna that the demigods and the sages, they do not know my origin. Imagine the great sages who have performed such great austerities to become great sages, and even demigods, they do not know Krishna's origin. They do not know Krishna's opulences, you see. And Krishna says, I am the source of the demigods. Very, very important. And he'll repeat the same in verse number 10 of this chapter. He's saying, I am the source of demigods. He says, I am the source of everybody, everything, everyone. I am the source. That is the supreme position. You see, he is the supreme. No one is greater than him. Right? Ishvara, Parama Krishna. Parama Ishvara is Krishna. He's a cause of all causes. That's why he says, everything emanates from me. Even demigods cannot understand Krishna. This is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Not even the great sages, even though Krishna is the source of them. So, how do we understand Krishna? By hearing. When we hear about him, from him, then we will be able to increase our faith in the Bhagavad Gita. So sincerity is important. We should be sincere. Do I want to understand? Yes. Then with sincerity, we hear about Bhakti Yoga. Once Krishna sees our sincerity and seriousness in understanding him, he will bestow his mercy upon us. That is why Krishna tells Arjuna, only devotees can understand him. And that too, when we get the mercy of the Lord. And how do we perform devotion? It is only by surrendering unto him. Surrendering means following his instructions that are given in the Bhagavad Gita. You see? So faith plus devotion is necessary for advancing in Bhakti Yoga. Now, in the very next verse, verse number 3, Krishna tells, if one understands that I am unborn, that means Krishna does not take birth. He is beginningless. That means there is no beginning, which means, oh, Krishna became God at this time. No, he has always been the Supreme Lord. And if one understands, I'm the Supreme Lord of all the worlds, of the whole creation. So three things. If we understand he's unborn, he is beginningless, and he is the Supreme Lord of all the worlds, then what will be the result? He tells Arjuna, then one will become free from all sins. Imagine. If we want to become sinless, without any sins and without any delusion, then if we understand these three things, that'll be the end result. Who doesn't want to become free of sins? First of all, No one can say, I have never committed any sins in my life. No. We all have committed different kinds of sins in our lives. So if we want to get rid of all those sinful reactions, then these are the three things we should remember. Krishna is unborn, he is beginningless, and he is the supreme lord of all the worlds. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye. See, Krishna tells Arjuna that, out of thousands, only one tries for perfection. And out of thousands who have attained perfection, hardly one knows him in truth. And in this verse, Krishna says, Veti Loka Maheshwaram. Excuse me. He is the supreme proprietor. He is the supreme enjoyer. He is unborn. Even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are born. We have heard from Srimad Bhagavatam, Shiva is the son of Lord Brahma. You see? Now one may say, well, when Krishna came 5,000 years ago, he was born. No, he came in his original form, in his original spiritual body. He appeared. He was not born. He appeared. You see? So we need to understand Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita, but through a very bona fide spiritual master. Three things are required: Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Guru is the spiritual teacher. Sadhu is the great Acharya or the great spiritual masters who are coming down in disciplic succession. And Shastra is scriptures. So guidance is very, very important. If we do not take guidance, then we will be bewildered. You see, there's going to be bewilderment. And who likes to be bewildered? Nobody likes to be bewildered at all, right? So here I'm going to read verse number 4 and 5 because it's very, very important. Let me open up the verse number 4 and 5. So they are verses together, and Krishna says, intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. So you see, so many qualities, Krishna says, they are coming from him. You see? And by intelligence, Krishna talks about intelligence in these two verses. By that, he means the power to analyze in proper perspective. Very, very important. You see? Knowledge is understanding difference between matter and spirit. It's not talking about material knowledge that I get a master's degree or PhD or no, he's not talking about material knowledge. Not the knowledge that we get from the university. Nope. Schools and colleges, they give us material knowledge, but they never teach us about the spirit soul. Is there any class in the school or any department in university that teaches us, that you're not this body, you're the spirit soul? No. Material education teaches us only about matter. But the Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita teaches us about the difference between body and soul, teaches us about who we really are. And by taking on this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, we can become free from doubt and delusion. Most people in this world are bewildered. At least spiritually, they are bewildered. They don't know what is the right path. What should I follow? Who should I follow? What should I do? No. So all these qualities that Krishna is mentioned, one of them is non-violence. Non-violence means not to put anyone in misery or confusion. Tolerance and forgiveness should be practiced. Of course, one can excuse minor offenses, but one has to be very, very careful. Krishna talks about truthfulness, which means state the facts as they are, no duplicity. There is an austerity of speech mentioned in chapter 17 of Bhagavad Gita. And the austerity is to speak the truth, be honest, but you speak it in a very pleasant way so that we do not agitate the minds of others. That is austerity of speech. And training is required. Training to, train ourselves in such a way that we use this body instead of misusing this body. Because when we use this body to understand the process of self-realization, then we will become realized, you see. Senses should not be used unnecessarily for sense enjoyment, personal enjoyment. No. According to Bhagavad Gita, we need to control our mind, our body, our senses. We can remember BMW, the BMW car, body, mind, and work, or body, mind, and senses, of course, of the body, mind, and what is the other one? BMW, body, mind, and I forgot. So we need to control the senses. If we do not control the senses, then the mind will not come under control. And when the mind doesn't come under control, then how will we become self-realized? So we need to perform austerity of mind, body, and senses, which means we follow the rules and regulations given to us in the Bhagavad Gita. And satisfaction is one of the qualities. How do we become satisfied? By control of senses, right? We should be happy with whatever has been provided to us by the Supreme Lord. There should be no struggle to get more and more and more, because the more we get, the more dissatisfied we are. It's temporary happiness. Krishna talks about charity. Charity should be given to the right person at the right time, at the right place. We'll learn about that in chapter 17. Because if we do not give charity to the right person, we will be responsible for that karma. We'll be part of that karma if that charity is misused. See, equanimity. It refers to being free from attachment and aversion, no dualities, happiness, distress, success, failure, heat, cold, no. No dualities at all. And that is possible when we accept whatever is favorable on the path of Bhakti Yoga. So when we try to understand the Bhagavad Gita, it will help us to become free of anxiety. You see, when we perform devotional service to Krishna, all these qualities that we read from verse 4 and 5, they will automatically develop within us. We don't have to try hard. Just by performing devotional service. And devotional service begins with mantra meditation, chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You see, this Bhagavad Gita is a manual for us, for human beings. It's not for animals. It's not for other species of life. It's for us, the human beings. You see? So that we can benefit from this human form and by practicing Bhakti Yoga, break the cycle of birth and death. You see, we have 86,400 seconds in a day. How are we using it? What are we doing? Are we using it wisely so that we can progress spiritually? Or are we just eat, sleep, and be merry attitude where all the seconds are just wasted in sense enjoyment? So it's very, very, very important to understand the Bhagavad Gita. You see, unfortunately, many people in this world are manipulative. Haven't we come across people who try to manipulate us? Yes. Even those who are following the path of Bhakti Yoga, they also have a tendency to manipulate. Talking about manipulation, I remember hearing one story. So the father told the son that I would like you to marry a girl of my choice. The boy said, no, why should I? So the father said, well, she is the daughter of Bill Gates. Immediately his eyes were wide open. Now, this is just a story. This is not true. So he said, oh, she's the daughter of Bill Gates. Yes, I will marry her. And he told Bill Gates that my son is the CEO of a World Bank. So Bill Gates also said, yeah, sure. Why not? My daughter can marry your son. And he told the CEO of the World Bank that my son is marrying the daughter of Bill Gates. You see the manipulation? Just to get his son married to a daughter of his own, a girl of his own choice. This is going on, manipulation. And what is the reason for manipulation? Sense enjoyment. That's why Krishna is explaining in this chapter, understand my opulences so that our faith will become firm and we will be able to progress on the path of Bhakti Yoga. You see, human life is meant for self-realization. It is not meant for eat, sleep, and be merry. Even animals eat, sleep, have babies, and defend themselves. What are we doing extra? Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, we've come to chapter number 10, but if we see from chapter 1 through 6, Krishna is talking about karma yoga, how we can connect with Krishna through our actions. Now, chapter 7 onwards till 12, Krishna is going to talk about devotion, devotional service. And then chapter 13 onwards till the end, which is 18th chapter, he's going to again talk about Jnana Yoga. Now, after hearing these 9 chapters and now starting chapter number 10, one will question, why Bhagavad Gita? Because by understanding Bhagavad Gita, by following the rules and regulations given in the Bhagavad Gita, we will have a healthy body. Remember, Krishna says, do not eat too much, too little, do not sleep too much, too little. So when we follow the Bhagavad Gita, we will have a healthy body, we will have a stress-free mind, we will have sharp intelligence that will help us to make right choices, and finally, we will be happy souls. You see, that is the benefit. These are the benefits of following the path of Bhakti Yoga given in the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is very, very, very important scripture. It's the essence of all the Vedas. The 4 Vedas combined together, the essence is the Bhagavad Gita. You see? So today I have covered verses 1 through 5 only, and we will continue with verse number 6 in the next class next Sunday. So I will end here now. If anyone has any questions or comments, you are welcome to say that.